Make room for the audience,
Yeah.
okay?
Standing room.
Is there an agenda for this? Just going for it? Reviewing the
Go for
budget?
Public hearing for the budget, so just go by the,
All
go
right,
through the warrant articles and, I don't know.
so we review the budget. Have everybody been here for the review of last month for the budget? We reviewed the budget last month in detail. Sarah, do you have any questions on it, or would you like us to go through it again for you?
No, I did look at it, and, you know, I'll go through it again, like, I
Okay.
get done in 1 minute.
Okay.
I know you will.
Probably should show the changes, really,
Right.
the ups and downs, because we are adding a position with some money that was saved, so I mean, it might just be smart to go through what was changed in the operating budget anyway.
Right, we did that last month, but we can do it again. So, you know, we did that one last month, so that's why I was asking if anybody.
Right, but this is the official public hearing, so
Okay, we'll go through it.
we don't have to.
Okay. Kevin? you wanna
Oh, would
take
you
us
like
through
to? Sure.
Just
We'll just go over
Yeah.
the first 3 pages for
Yeah.
the general public. Overall, your budget is down 0.02%, $435. When you throw in the grants, your budget's up 0.13%. So the budget that you're looking at is at $2,728,255. So if you go down to the piece where it says summary of proposed increases and decreases throughout the year, the board has been working with Gail and the administration to take a look at reorganizing some positions. And what you see is reflective of those changes. So you had a personalized learning coordinator in there, and then you bought some services from Bartlett for family support liaison guidance. So the board approved the combination of that to have a family support liaison guidance counselor specifically for Jackson students K through 12. So you won't be leasing or buying those services from Bartlett anymore, and they'll work not only here in the grammar school, but at Bartlett Middle School as well as the high school. You'll also see that those salary lines also include any performance-based increases for the staff members. So that is all put into there. Down below, health insurance is estimated at 10%. That's what's called a guaranteed maximum rate. So it won't be any higher than that, could be less, but that's the rate right there. So overall, your salary lines are up $96,454. At the bottom, you'll see tuition, special education. I won't get into too many of the specifics on special education, other than to say that Gail works with Pam Stimson and the staff, and we budget for specific services of students here. So there are no projecting out. If it's in the IEP, it's built in here. So those do tend to go up and down over time. So you'll see some of those increases. The tuition rates, you'll see those are down, which is a good thing. Remember, the tuition is based upon last year's enrollments, because those are exact numbers. So we do know are accurate numbers, but you do have a little bit of a bubble coming up to the high school. I think next year it'll be seen in the budget, a little bit different. As far as the maintenance costs, the big piece is that $23,000 increase. There's a plan to replace the tile floors in the building and replace those with a composite material that, instead of having to strip down the floors, take the wax off, relay a lot more wax down, and then buff them out, which is quite labor intensive, replacing those with like I said, a composite floor. Should save a lot of time and energy moving forward.
Yes, sir.
With the redoing the floors along with the project you just talked about like a master plan or whatever you want to call it, is that something that would be affected if you do in the future decide to add on or change the inside structure, walls and so on of our building now?
That would be, in my eyes, based on the rate of change that we go through, it would be several years away if we were to make any changes to the flooring in the school of Jackson, but those floors need to be replaced sooner than later now.
Okay.
So it makes sense to do it now, and then we'll save on labor and future costs, so hopefully we won't make that many changes. But if we were to make a change to the school, I don't see that happening anytime.
And that's, I think it's another reason kind of why it's good to go through what we're
Right.
going through, because like,
But this is a good
Like-
point.
I would say right out of the bat, like, pretty assuredly that we're not gonna change the floors there, so no, this won't affect that at all. But that's a completely non-qualified statement,
Mhm.
and so it'll be nice to be able to actually tell you, next year, the year after, like no, there isn't gonna be anything changing on the floor design there, so that is a safe thing to say. But it just highlights why I would be going through that, I think.
So that's the bulk of your maintenance increases. Down below, you'll see the transportation, and you do have 2 new staff members that are in there. The last page, well, the next page, beginning with Tin Mountain, you'll see just a few ups and downs here and there. Not any major changes, just kind of moving things from one place to another. You will see the contracted services, student support at the high school. That's a negative 9,680 because that is part of that new position that the board had approved and put into the budget. So you'll see a very minor change in the budget at that point. So that's the overall ups and downs of the budget. If you have any questions about specific lines, we can talk about those, but I think I highlighted most of the big changes. And then, if you want, we can go to page 9 of the line budgets. And that just gives you a description of what's in your capital reserve funds. So your school buses, you have 51,500 on there. Special education, 144,000. The tuition trust fund is 75,000. In the maintenance trust fund is 88,000. And then the Whitney Maintenance Trust Fund is 50,000. So those are your trust funds. The page after that is your proposed revenue, estimated revenue. So at each year at this time, Finance Director Lily Gilligan, or Becky, would project out how much do we expect will not be spent come June 30th or July 1st. So there's a conservative estimate of 85,000. The next section down is revenue from state sources. So this is, you did get some special education aid that we estimate moving forward. But the bad news is kindergarten aid went away. It used to be you would get $1,100 per kindergarten student. So if you had 5 kindergartners, you'd get $5,500. What has happened since then is they've moved kindergarten aid into the state adequacy numbers. Okay? So further on down, you'll see state adequacy. Well, Jackson, this gets back to that whole donor town, receiving town piece. So you don't get state adequacy. So the good news is you didn't put a warrant and say, hey, we're going to raise money for kindergarten through Keno and then not get any money on the other side, right? That would be quite the kick in the pants for some people. But that's where it moved to. And then you'll see some of the grant funds. Those are the federal grants that we have. So you'll see your Title I, Title IIA, IDA, your lunch milk reimbursement, $4,500. Okay, so if students qualify for free and reduced hot lunch, you get reimbursed for that. Medicaid, they've changed a number of rules related to that. We don't anticipate any revenue until they figure out the new rules. National Forest Funds. And then you'll see down at the bottom some other resources that you receive revenue from over the summer school. We anticipate about $4,000. Tuition private, you do have students outside of Jackson who come to the school. And then the Whitney Trust Fund, sales of lunch and milk. And back to your revenue, down at the bottom, you have that state education tax, which is essentially your money that the state is saying that you have to keep, and then your district assessment. The following page is, again, an estimated tax rate information. So you'll see if you just approve the budget, the tax rate is $5.64 or 6 cents per thousand less than it was last year. The good news is, historically, if you take a 4 or 5 year look, the tax rate's been fairly flat. And then we'll talk about warrant articles. Jen will read those tonight. And you'll see on there, if you approve all of those warrant articles at your annual meeting, that would be an additional $68,000 or 15 cents per thousand. So if everything gets improved, your operating budget as well as your warrant articles, it increases 9 cents per thousand or 1.62%. There are no questions. Jen can read the warrant articles.
So we'll go through one at a time. Make sure we're on the page. So, motion to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,728,255,000 for the support of schools, for the payment of salaries for school district officials and agents, and for the payment of the statutory obligations of the district, with $31,800,000 offsetting this amount from various grants. This article does not include appropriations voted in other warrant articles.
Second that.
So this is the hearing. After the hearing closes, then you'll have to vote on
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so
Yep,
sorry,
sorry.
we'll just go through these.
Yep.
All right. Is this new with the 31,800 offsetting the amount of?
it. Yeah, well,
So-
Lily is a little bit, I think sometimes it get a little bit confusing as to what number is the total number. You have to include
Gross
the
appropriation.
grants, which is higher than the actual operating budget.
Mhm.
So this just explains that, okay, yeah, the budget is this amount, but we're offsetting that with federal grants. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Article 2, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 to be added to the Whitney Maintenance Trust Fund previously established for this purpose in 2010.
So this is the money that gets backfed through the, it's not appropriated through taxes, it gets backfed through the Whitney Trust Fund, through the New Hampshire Charitable Trust.
Article 3, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the expendable general trust fund school building maintenance fund, established for that purpose in '96.
I actually did have a question about this. I didn't realize it's up to 88,000 now. Do we know why we're putting $10,000 more into that this year? Is there a specific reason for that?
That was a discussion
I thought we had that,
from the two.
Because the reason I'm asking is because we're taking 23,000 out in the operating budget to do the floors. That's not coming from the maintenance fund.
No.
The maintenance fund's been there, we've kept it high, basically, we have to replace boilers or.
I don't have John's list in front of me, so I don't know if we have.
Was there some reason, like, was it the siding?
Deciding for the building, for this building, is happening. I didn't know whether there was a reason why we were putting 10,000 into there.
I
'Cause
thought we had John's list for, it wasn't for paving. It may be for the playground. It was a while ago. We went over that.
Is it playground? Yes,
Oh, we want to do a new playground.
The playground's in there, but I don't know.
I don't know if it's
Outdoor
specific.
playground, but it wasn't quoted, and we don't have anything in here for that. Correct, and we don't have
I
a
wouldn't
cap
be, I wouldn't be in favor at all of using the maintenance trust fund to use for.
on it. No,
ADU
just going
playground.
through
If
anything.
we had to repair the existing playground, or restore it, I'd be all
Right.
for using the maintenance
But I
trust fund
don't
to do that.
recall anything particular this time around, other than, no, we're not gonna do that.
And again, the only reason I asked was that
Oh,
I
good question.
didn't realize it was up to 88,000 already. And like I said, traditionally, we've had that maintenance fund for, the reason why we have it, and the reason why we don't contribute to it for things like doing siding or painting or paving, the things that we do on a year-to-year basis that needs stuff, we try to keep up with in the regular operating budget, like the $23,000 for the floor. We've held that maintenance trust in there really for if a boiler goes,
Right, I'm just.
or there's a major repair that's necessary, and it may be because of the kind of equipment we have now, the air handlers that we have in this building, the air handlers we have in that building. It may be that we need $88,000 in it for that type of thing. That might be the case, but I'm wondering what number should that be maxed out at? And if there was a reason why 10,000 was specifically put in there this year, I'm questioning it, that's all. And I'm doing that at the completely wrong hour.
Yeah, I didn't want to say.
But it is a good question, Jerry, because,
Right.
you know, I mean, you're putting a burden on the present taxpayers for something we don't know what we'll need in the future, whereas if you don't have a real call for it this year,
Exactly.
it could be put in next year, $88,000 in the reserve.
And I don't mind, so what we could do with it, I mean, if there isn't a reason to have that in there, I think we can spend that on the floor. So, I mean, we could appropriate the 23,000 in the operating budget for the floors, take 10 out of the maintenance trust fund, and then we're only, as opposed to raising the taxes by $33,000 in October, we could kick that back from the maintenance trust fund and only do it at 23,000 instead of 33,000, and we don't need the 10 in there, so I'm okay with leaving it in there, we kind of track it throughout the year and have another discussion about, do we in fact need a maintenance trust fund at $88,000, and we're not using it for regular scheduled maintenance things, regular capital improvements to get done? Or is it reserved strictly for emergency kind of use?
Is this something that you could investigate, and could it be taken out at the floor meeting
Oh, sure.
of the school board? I mean, at the March meeting?
Yeah.
So if you find that there's really no need, can you, as a person from the floor, could say, you know,
Yeah, in fact, one of the school board members can actually do it as well. I mean,
Okay.
there's no saying this, you can't become a school board member to do it, but any resident, any legislative body person can do it. So I either ask you before the meeting, or I ask my dad if he's here to do that, so.
I believe it's kind of jogging my memory, I'm trying to get all my budget straight, but
Right.
it has been historically $10,000 a year for a number of years. And I believe that if I remember correctly, there's something about $100,000, you know, is a good number to have.
that
But
is the
we
goal.
can find out that information.
Yeah, to me, we've traditionally held that account for emergency purposes, and that's why we have money in there. But we should know what kind of emergency purposes would there be, and how much would that be, and then not put much more money in it than that, like versus compared to the special education cap reserve or expendable trust fund, whichever it's called there. You know,
We know why.
we put a cap on that at a time when it made sense, and now we realize that it's not enough to do that. And it may very well be that because of the types of things we have, the equipment we have, we need 88,000 or 98,000 or more in the maintenance trust fund. But I would like to ask that question to know where is the balance there. Okay.
It's a slightly personal favor. If you investigate this and you decide that 88,000 is sufficient, and you're going to sort of plan to invite someone to make a motion to remove this, would one of you just give me a heads up, maybe like a day before the meeting? So I have never moderated for you when you have removed a warrant article, and I'd just love to know that and
Right.
walk through that.
They wouldn't
before.
remove it, because
Okay.
the article
We'll just
would
vote it
remain.
down.
Right.
They would amend it to $0.
Okay,
Or just have
Thank
it, or just recommend that it be voted down.
yep,
That would
okay.
actually be the simplest thing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's very helpful, thank you.
Yeah, I'll find you before the meeting.
It's a
Anything in the right, we wouldn't use for that necessarily.
John might very well know, like, hey, we've got, you know, if three of these things go, we've got a $150,000 bill. And he
Right,
might know that off the top of his head, I'm sure he does. And
yeah, but
he
I don't
might
have
know-
my current list about, I have that stuff, yeah. So I'll ask. All right, Article 4, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be added to the capital reserve fund, special education previously established for this purpose.
Would it be okay if I asked you to tell us what we have in these funds, so that?
Yeah, that was on the page that we just passed.
It's page,
So we went over that page, page, yep,
page 9.
page 9. So that is the page that references what is in each of these already.
Okay, thank you, I just,
Yep.
So special education has $144,472.
Sarah,
And we've been, Pam came and talked to us, so we kept it at 100,000 for many years, and Pam has come and recommended that we actually move that up to 200,000,
absolutely.
okay.
just to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
Sarah, do you know, does the town in their warrant list underneath each article what's in the capital reserve funds?
I'm trying to think.
Did they start doing that?
I think it is somewhere in the book,
I know it's somewhere in the book, but I
but
think
I
they
think
started.
that's a great idea if you could do that and just put it so that it's right there, it gives you a,
It is a little bit easier to clarify, to send it.
you don't have to try to look it up on page 20 or whatever. It's
It can
right
save time to debate about it, so that when people ask, like, you've got this much in there, why are you asking for more? And then we can explain to them why we're asking for more, as opposed to trying to fish around for information when we go.
And also too, I think it's just the general idea that when you pick up your book a week or two in advance, you look at it and say, oh, we have this, and as you say, then you could ask the question.
Is there a way we could do that?
I will check.
Okay.
Well, so I don't know where it's legal to put it or not, too, is another question too. But I thought the town started to put it just in the book, not on the warrant itself. It was underneath each warrant, where it was explained in the book how much was in that capital reserve.
And we
fund.
could reference a page of the book to see if that's not legal, to put it away. All right. Article 5, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 to be added to the capital reserve fund, school buses previously established for this purpose. Article 6, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 to engage professional services to develop a master plan. For the school campus,
We left that purposely kind of,
for
Vague, so
a
that we weren't-
spaceship. I think maybe we should put for the campus, the school campus. I would need to, I
I
would.
mean, I
like
think
to-
for a master plan, it's pretty clear. I mean, that's
You're gonna get somebody to say for what?
to develop a master
Master
plan for
plan.
the school property and see what.
Yeah, and
Okay.
just for,
That sounds good to
Yes.
me. I mean, you have a master plan for the town, and as you say, you're trying to work with all the different organizations, the plan board, the school board and stuff.
I mean, we could have a capital improvements plan, if you will, but I think master plan is, because we're not really, we don't know what those capital improvements are, and so we kind of get the reasoning behind it.
It could be like a master plan for reconfiguring the staff. I'm just trying to get people to know master
There's a lot of
plans.
plans going around, like
Yeah.
the
Pardon?
strategic plan.
So we have the strategic plan, and so just
Name
to,
the
just
plan.
to be a little bit more, I would say, more clear or transparent, that the master plan for the campus, the school campus or the school grounds or something of that nature. Anybody have a preference
And
of
do that
verbiage?
recommendation.
The only thing I'm gonna say is that we can't really change the wording of this right now.
Or we can't?
Well, and I would caution against that because if you say it's for building, I think it's more encompassing than just the facilities and grounds.
Okay.
I think it does take a look at some pieces regarding enrollment trends, configurations within your building.
Mhm.
I think use of the building, so then it gets into the program. So
All right, all right.
just be careful about
'Cause
boxing it in.
and that's
Because
what-
if
that's
it's
what
in the
we-
warrant article, then you can't use it for anything other than.
Okay.
And that's why when we drew this up last meeting, I was specifically saying that, so we don't want to tie our hands too much on what we can use the funds for. But we should be able, we do need to be able to explain it to the public what it's going to be, so it's perfectly fair to say, yeah, it's for capital improvements, for trying to find space for preschool to see if we have that, which involves, much more than necessarily just, are we building a closet here, a classroom there, a new building here?
I think when you
So
get to
this letter,
Sarah's point,
The
that
quote will
letter
be in the
will
book.
explain.
Yeah, you can say this is our
Yeah.
master plan or.
This is how we're going to develop a master plan by going through this
And that's
process.
not just about preschool.
Right.
Because people really
no, it doesn't even
care
care.
about that a lot. I
Okay.
think it does mention preschool,
But I'm
it
not
should.
like here.
Yeah.
All right, Article 7, to see if the school district will vote to establish a cooperative school district planning committee in accordance with RSA 195-18, comprised of three members. At least one shall be a member of the Jackson School Board, appointed by the school district moderator.
The power you have.
Right? Wow, yeah. We can talk about that
So
later.
you're gonna appoint yourself.
I actually don't know if I can do that.
You're gonna
Okay,
appoint
I'll
whoever goes to
substitute
here.
one for you, well, and appoint you. Okay. Okay. Article 8, to transact any other business that may legally come before this meeting. All right, now we need to vote on these.
Well, we need to close the public hearing and just, for questions.
Any further questions?
Thank you for taking.
Been a while, Sarah.
Always.
You know, we've been here for a little bit. Yeah,
All right.
that's good.
Close the public meeting. We need to vote on
Motion, to recommend Article 1.
I can second that.
All those in favor? Are we gonna write that this year?
Unfortunately, it's just going to be the
3
3
0
to 0.
300?
3 0 0. There's only 4 school board members though.
So there's only 4 school board members, and talking to Keith, he wasn't voicing opposition to any of these, so I mean, it's not likely that he'd be voting against them.
So would it be 3 0 1?
No, it's just 3-0-0. It's just, it's a
That's
vote,
all.
Okay.
it's a vote that's
Okay.
present, so it's not really not a
All
difficult
right,
thing.
just want to make sure.
Make a motion to recommend Article 2.
Second.
All those,
Make a motion to recommend Article 3.
Second.
all those here.
Make a motion to recommend Article 4.
Second.
Make a motion to recommend Article 5.
Second.
All those in favor?
Make a motion to recommend Article 6.
Second.
All those in favor?
And make a motion to recommend Article 7.
Second.
All those in favor?
And I make a motion, we actually don't need to recommend Article 8. That's just, that has to be there.
What kind of things would fall under Article 8? Like what is,
That's your moderator, I think she knows.
do you know?
Off the top of my head, I don't, but I actually have notes from Tim about random things.
Like come up.
But isn't Kevin making?
You can ask any question that doesn't.
You can,
involve
somebody can
money.
make a recommendation, is the Jackson community
No money.
want to put a, whatever.
Giant fish tank in the
It's
office.
happened
Appropriating.
occasionally.
Can't be,
$4,000.
it can't be monetary though, Kate.
Oh, it can't be monetary. Okay, because I was like, how does that work?
A lot of times, like traditionally in Jackson, it's been to recognize somebody sometimes. Sometimes it's to take a straw poll in the audience for things. But it is up to the moderator to determine whether they're going to recognize the motion made for discussion. So the moderator doesn't have to recognize them. If the moderator doesn't feel it's legal or just doesn't want to entertain it, the moderator would have the ability to say, no, that's not a proper motion that's not business that should come before this meeting.
Cool.
The power that you have.
All right, thanks for you.
I need signatures from 3 board members, please.
Yes, right.